Okay, I want to give you the top 5 reasons why I am 100% convinced that wholesaling real estate is a better model than house flipping or flipping the real estate. I used to be a house flipper back in 2008 when I got started. That's what I did. Did that for about 5 or 6 years. Had a lot of success with it. But when I switched to wholesaling, my eyes were opened because it was just such a better model for me. And I'm going to give you the 5 reasons why I am absolutely convinced that that is the case. Number one, lower financial risk. As a wholesaler, we're finding deals, we're getting them under contract, and then we're selling them to the end buyer, which is usually a house flipper or a landlord. But we don't have to buy the house. And in a lot of cases, we don't even need money to find the house. Now, marketing and things like that can be a whole different conversation. But theoretically, there's no money needed in this deal at all from the wholesaler standpoint. We find the deal, we get it under contract, we sell it for a profit to a house flipper or landlord, and we move on to the next one. We don't have to borrow 100, 200, 500, $1 million in some states to get a really great deal. We don't have to do that. We just find it, mark it up, and sell it to somebody else for more than what we have it under contract for. Very, very low financial risk. That's number one. Number two, faster returns. As a house flipper, even the best house flippers take a month or two from the time they buy the house until they actually sell it and get their money. Like 2 months would be extremely fast because it takes, you know, 30 to 45 days just to get through the closing process after you've already renovated and you find a buyer. But the reality is, it usually takes more than a month to renovate. And sometimes, and in this economy, in a lot of places, it takes longer than a month to find a buyer. And so we might be talking 4 to 6 months realistically from the time you buy the house until you get paid. 4 to 6 months is way, way longer than what it takes a wholesaler. A wholesaler typically gets a house under contract and then they get the profits from that transaction 4 weeks later, 6 weeks later in some cases. So we're talking like a month, month and a half. It can go as quickly as a week. I've gotten a house under contract, got it sold, and got my profits within a week. And so the turnaround time is so much faster for your profits, and that's really attractive, especially as market conditions change. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Number three, minimize external factors. What do I mean by that? Well, when I was a house flipper, I had to deal with realtors, I had to deal with contractors, I had to deal with appraisers, all these outside people who had some, or in some cases, a lot of control and influence over my profits. And so, as a wholesaler, you're dealing with sellers and buyers, and that's it. You really streamline the amount of people that have access to influencing your deal, your profits, and ultimately your business. And so, number three is we minimize external factors. That's huge. You cannot over state how important that is. Okay, number four, market resilience. I made mention of this a second ago. Wholesalers are so much less victimized or influenced, impacted by market conditions. If it's a seller's market, we can do just fine in a seller's market. In a buyer's market, we can do just fine. We can adjust much more quickly and change our approach much, much faster than a house flipper every day of the week. Because once a house flipper buys the house at a certain price and they know what they're going to do for renovations, 6 months later when they go to sell it, or 4 months later when they go to sell it, the market conditions could have changed on them. And so all of their comps might be kind of invalid at that point. And so as a house flipper, you're a little bit more impacted, or in a lot of cases, a lot more impacted by market conditions. And wholesalers just don't have those restraints. We can move much, much faster because, like I said, we get a house under contract, sell it to a buyer within a month. That's pretty fast. You don't have to worry as much about market conditions. So it becomes a lot more recession proof or recession insulated, I like to call it. So market resilience is number four. And then number five, it's easier to scale, much easier to scale a wholesaling company for a lot of reasons. Number one, you don't have to go out and find new contractors. Like if I'm a house flipper and I'm flipping a house and I talk to my contractor and they say, oh yeah, we can handle more than this. And I give them 2 houses, 3 houses, 4 houses. That's fine. But most contractors are going to kind of hit their limit at some point. in that 1 to 5 houses. And so it becomes very hard to scale because you have to go out and look for another contractor. And we all know finding good contractors is really, really hard to do in every market condition. It's just tough. And so to scale, you not only need to increase the contractors that you're dealing with, and a lot of times increasing contractors means increasing drama, right? House flippers deal with a lot of drama that comes their way because of contractors and some of their issues. And so that's one reason. The other reason is if you're going to scale to 4, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 deals a year, that's a lot of money that you have to borrow. Think about it. If all of your houses are in that $300,000 to $500,000 range, and you want to do 100 of those, that is just so much money to try to raise. And I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm not trying to be closed minded or limited in my beliefs. I know that you can raise the money to do that. I get it. But you don't have to raise that kind of money to do 100 deals as a wholesaler. You don't have to raise millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars to do that. You just don't. You can scale to scale to 100 deals a year without having to scale up the money that you're borrowing and the lenders that you need to help you along the way. And so it's just much more scalable. I have been doing this business now for about 15 years, and I can tell you, I've been a house flipper, I've been a wholesaler. I'm currently running a wholesaling business, have been for about 3/4 of that time. And without a doubt, I can tell you that wholesaling is the better option for the reasons I just stated. Now, it's not necessarily easier. I won't say that, but it's really not harder either. There's some skill involved when you want to scale a wholesaling business, but there's skill involved with when you want to scale any business, right? So wholesaling as compared to flipping, wholesaling, in my opinion, much, much better model.